want to say to the people that are watching us live on the internet, good morning. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. We're going to get to the second leg, sisters and brothers. This is Black History, told by the prophets, part 2, slavery. Slavery. You know, one of the biggest things that, biggest mysteries in the whole creation among man is that this thing that happened to us as a people was already written. I mean, all of it. We're going to have us a close look at it, is because it is no accident that we are in this country and we was brought here as slaves. It's no accident, sister and brother. And we're going to show you that we was brought here, but nobody went to the continent and raped the continent and brought us by force. We're going to open my eyes on a whole lot of things today, because this is something that God had done to us, and everybody that we came in contact with treated us the same. Had nothing to do with color. It's all about the courage, sisters and brothers. There are a lot of ministers get up and try to fight me, tell me, we ain't under no curse. I said, then why all of your children in jail? Why most of your children are on dope? Why is it that all your children is in the house because they can't find no job and move out? Come on, let's look at some reality around here, sisters and brothers. We have an abundance of what they say in the street, bad luck. And every stick that we have carry, we always end up with the short end of it. But this is no accident. It is because of our behavior, sisters and brothers. We're going to have a look at this, because you get people always making statements that they don't understand. And one of the things I always have, we have people call themselves Afrocentric. Well, you know, our African brothers, you're going to get a good look at your African brother today. You're going to find out that your situation is always the same. And to tell you the truth, I say it all the time. Since the Lord going to send us into slavery all over the world, I thank him for dropping me here. And when we get through showing you something, you're going to thank him too. You understand what I'm saying? See, because sometimes we're angry, and the most people I see angry all the time, the angriest people are the most ignorant people. Because you don't know what is happening to you. You don't know why it's happening to you. We're going to look at this thing today, sister and brother. We're going to get us some understanding out of this. We're going to start this in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. In this 28th chapter of Deuteronomy, sisters and brothers, after the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, he said, look, if you do what I tell you to do, I'm going to bless you above everybody. But if you don't do what I said do, I'm going to curse you above everybody. And this is what people don't want to deal with. People don't read, and people condemn things. But if you're going to, you cannot rightfully condemn anything unless you do it from a position of knowledge. We love to kick on stuff that we have no knowledge of. That's why sometimes people that don't have any knowledge of the Bible say, brother, you know you did real good. I said, well, when is the last time you... Well, I don't read the Bible. Then that ain't no compliment to me. If you want to be complimented, want to compliment me, you be a scholar in the book. Then I say, hey, thank you. Praise God.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is something that the Lord told Israel when he brought them out of Egypt. See, this was called on us before we got to the promised land the first time. Deuteronomy 28, let's start reading at verse 1. This is the Lord talking to the whole nation of Israel. Tell them what he wants. Go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Now see, you get to the average church, everybody going to be so spiritual, they're going to run everybody off to heaven, so it's not important what goes on earth, sisters and brothers. But what goes on in earth is going to determine what your position is going to be in God's kingdom.
Yes, sir.
And again, too, If the earth didn't have nothing good to offer you, then why would the Lord tell his people, you will be the top people on the whole earth? Have to have some meaning to it if God said, gave it to you as a bargaining chip.
Yes, sir.
Look here, you do what I said, I'm going to make you the top dog in the whole kennel. Go ahead and read.
And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Go ahead.
Blessed shalt thou be in the city.
If you're in the city, you're going to be blessed. Go ahead.
And blessed shalt thou be in the field.
If you're in the country, you're going to be blessed. Go ahead.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body.
Your children going to be blessed. Go ahead.
And the fruit of thy ground.
Your crops and your income, everything. Go ahead and read.
And the fruit of thy cattle. The increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep.
And everything that you do, he said, blessed is going to be. We can't read all this. We're just going to hit here and now. Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10 and go ahead.
And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee.
So what is the Lord's name? Israel, sisters and brothers. Because when he adopted Jacob, he gave him his name. He said, all the people of the earth are going to see that you are called by the name of the Lord,
yes,
and they are going to be afraid of you. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12, go ahead.
The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in its season,
go ahead.
And to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow.
Now look, he said, I'm going to make you the financiers of the whole planet. I'm going to open my heaven and I'm going to bless you. You're the one that's going to control the money.
Yes.
You're going to control the resources and the commerce. Everybody's going to have to come to you and borrow money, but you ain't going to have to borrow for nobody. Boy, can you imagine what the Lord put on the table here?
Make it plain.
This is a big thing he put on the table. I can't even command. I might loan this brother $2, but he got to bring it back next week. But he's talking about the financiers of the whole planet. What verse are we?
We at 13.
Go ahead.
And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be above only.
Wait a minute. Above only?
Absolutely.
That is too big to wrap my mind around. No matter what I am in or what I'm involved with in any other people, I'm the boss.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the Lord is offering Israel here? He offering you a whole lot. That's why I was so mad when you didn't take him up on it. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandment of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them.
That's the only stipulation he had. All you had to do was keep my commandments, which are not hard, sisters and brothers. They ain't hard. All you got to do is do this. But then he going to drop the other shoe. Skip down to verse 15. Go ahead.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So now if you will not keep my commandments, all these curses are going to come upon you. And they're going to overtake you. Go ahead and read.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
You're in the city, you're going to be cursed. Go ahead and read.
And cursed shalt thou be in the field.
In the country, he's reversing this thing, ain't it? Go ahead.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body.
Your children going to be cursed. Go ahead and read.
And the fruit of thy land. The increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep.
Whatever you get involved in, it's going to be a problem. But we don't want to deal with that. But we're going to show you that's exactly what's happening. If you one of the few that the Lord has blessed, then you've been trying to do this thing right, and the Lord said he'll be a little sanctuary to you in your enemy's land.
Yes, sir.
So don't think that you ain't under it. You just happen to be one of those that's a little sanctuary to. Skip down to verse 25 and look what he said. Go ahead and read.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. And shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
So look, you going to go to war and you going to be smitten. You going to lose, and then he going to scatter you into every kingdom of the earth.
Yes,
not
sir.
migrate you. You shall be removed. Wherever you find yourself, you didn't just, I just say, I think I wander on over to America. No. You was brought here.
Yes, sir.
He said, this is going to happen to you. Skip down to verse 36 and go ahead.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee.
Look, we have some royal blood somewhere among us, but we don't know it. He's going to bring you And the king that the Lord he said over you, go ahead and read.
Unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
And you're going to serve other gods, wood and stone. We don't know nothing about the God of Easter, sister and brother. We don't know nothing about the God of Christmas. We didn't do that. We don't know nothing about the God of Sunday. We don't know about the God that say he going to take you to heaven. Our God said he going to come here. We don't know none of these gods that we have been pushed on us from Gentiles teaching. He said, but you going to serve him. And you going to go along with it. What verse was that?
We at 37.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the nations where the Lord shall lead thee.
Look, that's an astonishment. Everybody going to be astounded. Wow. What about, look, these some terrible people. Or why these people always in, and you're going to be a byword and a proverb. That's all them little pet names that's put on you. Go look it up. And wherever you go, don't matter where you are, it is no different. And I'm going to show you this to you. Show this to you, sister and brother. Because the problem is, we have a blame problem. We don't know who to blame. Skip down to verse 41 and go ahead.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them.
Go ahead.
But they shall go into captivity.
They're going to go into slavery. Your sons and the daughters. You ain't going to get to enjoy none of them. Skip down to verse 43 and go ahead.
The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
He didn't name nobody, sisters and brothers. He didn't name. He said a stranger. See, when Israel come out of Egypt, it was a mixed multitude. Because when the Lord sprung Israel, everybody feared Israel's God, so we want to go with you.
Yes.
People from every nationality come out of there. But he said, all of these strangers that's among you, they're going to come up very high. You're going to come down very low. Who's selling your cars? Who's selling your groceries? Who even selling the sisters' wigs? You don't even have a black wig distributor.
Make it plain.
Chinese doing your fingernails. Arabs selling your grocery. The little bitty, but Edom is the big stores. Edom selling it to you. Think about what I'm saying, sisters and brothers. What is it? Polish are rehabbing your houses. In fact, everybody that serve you look like somebody else.
That is right.
And we are the only community that have this. And you're going to come out. They're going to come up very high. You're going to come down very low. Go ahead and read.
44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. And he shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Everybody's the head. Run around with their business and making money, and they're making it off you, and they take the money out of the community. What your children doing? Prostitutes, selling dope, breaking in because they ain't got nothing to do.
Teach.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Nothing to do. You just have a real problem, but the Lord called this on us. The curses and the blessings. What was that?
That was the end of 44.
Go ahead and read.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
He said, you ain't going to escape them. They're going to run you down. What verse?
46.
Go ahead.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
For a sign and a wonder. People wonder what happened to them. Why is this happening to these people? And a sign, you know what a sign identifies? A sign identifies. So now, I tell people all the time, look in this entire hemisphere, not the United States of America only. In this entire hemisphere, who are the only people that was brought here as slaves?
Us.
I said, you don't have to know what the duck looked like. All you have to do is know what the duck is supposed to do. When he start doing it, quacking and swimming on water, hey, that's the duck. Can't nobody take that from you, sisters and brothers. But this is something that the Lord called, therefore you can't hold nobody else's feet to the fire. What verse?
We're skipping down to 64.
Skip down to verse 64 and go ahead.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, and from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So wherever you are, you're serving somebody else's God. We don't know nothing about these gods. And look what else he said. Go skip down to verse 6 to 8. 6 to 8 and read it.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Look, sisters and brothers. The Lord to Egypt, to us, Egypt was the first captivity Israel ever had. It represents the house of bondage to us. So when you say Egypt by ships, no, Egypt, you can walk right on into Egypt into Israel. The only reason that the Lord took Israel when he sprung it by way of the wilderness, because he said they're going to run into the Philistines. And these people don't have the stomach to fight. So he took them around. Yeah. So this Egypt that we're talking about is captivity all over the world. And he said, and you are going to be brought into it by ships. How? Are you on the deck, scrubbing the deck?
No, sir.
Are you a passenger?
No.
This is how you was brought in to Egypt again, stacked up like planks in the hulls of the ship. The one that was blessed was the one on top, because he didn't have to get all the stuff that come from the rest of us. You was brought here. So once you get here, what he says is going to happen to you. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
You're going to be sold as male and female slave, and ain't nobody going to buy you out of this situation. Now, if you want to know who Israel is, find out who this happened to. Matters of fact cannot be trumped by belief, sisters and brothers. Now he said, we got the blessing and we got the curses, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
We're going to see which one we fell under. We already kind of have an idea, don't we? But we're going to read it anyway. Let's go into Daniel, the 9th chapter. Daniel, the 9th chapter. Because nobody want to pay no attention to the Lord, to God. You got the people running around. We done got so smart now that the word of God don't mean nothing no more. People trying to follow the scientists, always tell me, well, you know, even getting upset. I think if somebody got fired out of school system because they did a little taught about acknowledge the creation to the students. That's what the problem is. The people that's the theologians that's been trying to go against the scientists about the creation and the evolution have been the dumb theologians.
Right.
Because it ain't no problem. It's so simple to kill this evolution thing, sister. It's so simple, it's scary. But now, Daniel's 9 and verse 9. 9 and 9. Read it.
To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him.
So we know we have rebelled, don't we? Skip down to verse 11. Let's see what's happened. Go ahead and read.
Yeah, all Israel has transgressed thy law.
All of them. Go ahead.
Even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us. And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
So we know what's poured upon us, don't we? The earth, the curse, even the law that Moses told you about. We just got to read what Moses said. But see, we are people that don't, like we said in the old days, that don't believe that fat meat is greasy. Somebody said, fire's hot. I don't believe it. And jump in it. So the curse have been poured upon us, sisters and brothers. And we're going to recognize it as we go on. Now let's go into Isaiah. What verse is it?
Verse 12.
Read it.
And he has confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven has not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem.
Think about it. This is only happening to you only. Look all over the world and see if a whole people have been taken into captivity.
Teach.
They've been taken into captivity by people that look like somebody, and they've been like them, and they've been taken by people that look like somebody else. And they know you. You just don't know you.
That is right.
We're going to read some of this stuff, sisters and brothers. We're going to look at it, and we're going to show you. Now, let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Isaiah chapter 5. Because this people, all we ever wanted to do was party and shake it up and shake it down. People always tell me, well, you know, we done got to our enemy's land. We done adopted their habits. No. The book said we taught the wicked one their way.
Yep.
Remember, brother told me one time, you know, brother, all them churches that the Israel of God got, brother, you know, y'all built up on the foundation of the Catholic Church. I said, correction. The Catholic Church is built on our foundation.
That's right.
When you look at it the way it's set up, you see the Levitical priesthood. I know more about the activities of the Catholic Church than the average Catholic. You know why? Because they are practicing what we did. That's why everybody all shook up because the Pope retired instead of dying. Why did they get shook up? Because the Pope ain't supposed, the high priest is not supposed to die off, retire. He have to die out of office. I know that. Y'all come up on the altar with the bell. Boom, 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 boom. Lord said, look, put some bells on your fringes so I know you're coming and I won't kill you. For the incense. I could run it all down, sisters and brothers.
Yes, sir.
You know why? Because they are mimicking us. Isaiah 5 and verse 11. Okay, go ahead.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they might follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them.
Yeah, we like to get up and get our drink on. And let's look at the rest of it. Go ahead and read.
And the harp, and the viol, the tabret, and pipe, and wine are in their feasts. But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hands.
See, and party and shaking it up, shake it down. When you go to church, the music, bloom, bloom, everybody running around, everybody happy. For what? You ain't paying no attention to the operation of the hand. The Lord said, you don't even know what the common market is doing over there.
Teach.
I hear people talking about, well, when the Soviet Union broke up, well, that's the end of that. Ain't no threat. They're coming back together. You know why? Because that's the last nation on the earth the Lord going to take down.
Yes.
But before they take down, they're going to kill a third part of men. But you don't know that. You know why? Because we don't read. We don't have a clue. He said, so what's happening is he said, you got harps and viols and your music, but you don't pay no attention to the works of the hand of the Lord. Go ahead and read.
13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge.
Why are they in captivity? Because they don't have no knowledge. Go ahead and read.
And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
The honorable men are famished. Let's tell me, the honorable men don't have no knowledge. So if the people that you hold in honor don't have no knowledge, you are dried up with thirst. You dumb too. It's all that simple, sister, brother. See, but we don't want to deal with reality. Because reality is ugly. Because you look in the mirror and see reality and it is you.
Yes.
Call it like it is or leave it alone. Go ahead and read.
Therefore hell has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. And their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoices shall descend into it.
See, look, we read that and that don't mean nothing to us, because when we think hell, we think Satan in a pit somewhere barbecuing unruly souls. Hell, sisters and brothers, is a state of condition. It is hell when you work all the week and you got to decide whether you're going to pay your rent or buy groceries.
Teach Israel.
It's hell to get sick and can't go to a doctor. It is hell you see your children raggedy and don't have nothing and you can't do nothing. They freezing to death in the summer and winter time. It's hell to see your babies crying from hunger. Hell come in a whole lot of conditions, sisters and brothers. You understand? And no matter how hard you try, you constantly fail. That's hell. And the lake of fire is hell too, but that's another state of condition. And it don't exist, by the way. Not now, but it will. And then we're boogalooing right on into the hell. Sometimes I say, every time I look around, I see when we represent something, we dance. And I get so tired. I said, can't we do something more than dance?
Teach Israel.
It just bugs me. So let's look at this story that your God had with you. Because when he got tired of you. And I want you to have a look at him. Let's go into Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon, they think it's a love story between Solomon and one of the strange women. No, this is a love story between God and his people, and we're going to show you that. Because you get to it, sisters and brothers, don't nobody want to deal with the word of God because it's reality. That's why I tell people all the time, I always tell them, well, you know, the enemy. I say, you want to know what the enemy is? Look in the mirror. Because I do know by the word of God that Satan can't make you do anything that you don't want to do. He do not force you to do things. He seduces you. He found out what you want, and he put it on the table in front of you.
Yes, sir.
And if you are a servant of God, you can't be seduced. Because your God said, thou shalt not, and you will not. Songs of Solomon, verse 1, first chapter rather than verse 1. Read it.
The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's.
Now these are Solomon's. He wrote this, sisters and brothers, but we're going to show you he is not writing about himself. Skip down to verse 5. Because we got a lot to cover. Verse 5, go ahead.
I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
And now this person sounds black. You understand? But we're going to find out who is really doing all this talking. Let's read the half of the 6th verse and we're going to investigate some. Go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me.
Said, my mother's children was angry with me. Put your marker here. We're going to come back. But we're going to investigate who is it whose mother's children are angry with him. Let's go into 6th and 9th chapter of Psalm. Psalm chapter 6 and 9. That's why the Lord tell you, you have to study his word, he'll little, they'll will. Line upon line, precept upon precept. And instead of trying to, I think that the Lord wanted, How you going to thank for a being that created you? And you can't even stop yourself from getting old. You can't even stop yourself from sweating and stinking. That's why you have to bathe all the time. So how you going to interpret this cat? Come on, sisters and brothers. We're going to deal with some reality here. 6 and 9, and we're going to start reading at verse 6. This is the Lord talking to the Father. This is Jesus talking to the Father. People don't recognize it because they don't have no understanding. Verse 6, what did he say?
Let not them that wait on thee, O Lord God of hosts, be ashamed for my sake.
He said, now don't let those that wait on you, O Lord of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. Go ahead and read.
Let not those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O God of Israel.
And those that seek thee, don't let them be confounded for my sake, because I've done something here. Go ahead and read.
Because for thy sake I have borne reproach.
Because for your sake, Father, I have borne reproach. Go ahead and read.
Shame has covered my face.
Shame has covered my face.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren and an alien unto my mother's children.
See, now we know that Jesus come out of Israel. And it was Israelites that had Jesus killed. Because when he come talking the way he was talking, he was a stranger and an alien to his mother's children.
Yes.
And look what else he said. Go ahead and read.
For the zeal of thine house has eaten me up, and the reproaches of them that reproach thee are fallen upon me.
He said, for the zeal of your house have eaten me up. Got a lot of zeal, but no knowledge. And the reproaches of them that reproach thee has fallen on me. Let's go see who this is talking about. Let's go into Romans the 15th chapter. So who's doing the talking here?
Sir.
He didn't say falling on him. He said on me, didn't he? So we're going to find out who is this me. Romans the 15th chapter. Romans chapter 15. Because the Lord have all this big Bible written and don't nobody read it. The average person that been to church all their life come here and read more Bible in one day than you read in 40 years.
Yep. That is right.
Then some complain, well, they read too much Bible there. Well, you have to do that when you know you can't interpret the one that wrote it. So you have to read until you find out over here what he meant when he made a statement over there. We finna find out who it is that asked the Lord, don't let the people that serve you fall for my sake. Because for your sake I have suffered and I have bad reproach. And the reproach of them that reproach you have fallen on me. Who is this? 15 and verse 1. Go ahead.
We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves.
Now we're supposed to do that, but skip down and read verse 3. Verse 3, go ahead.
For even Christ pleased not himself.
For even Christ pleased not himself, go ahead.
But as it is written.
But as it is written.
The reproaches of them that reproach thee
the reproaches of them that reproach thee fell on me.
Yes,
that was him talking. They sin against you, but I got to pay the toll.
Yes, sir.
So look, I'm even going to be hated by my own mother's children. So this was Jesus, the same one that said, I am black. That's Jesus talking. Now let's go back to Song of Solomon. And we're going to read the second half of this 6th verse. And we're going to get some understanding out of this, sisters and brothers. Because I didn't know this. It's because you've been taught by the wrong people. The Lord have a protocol. The whole earth don't even know that. He have a protocol. When he say Israel a chosen people, he ain't just choose. Well, I choose you because I'm choosing. No, I got something for you to do. He have a protocol. He have a system. And if you don't go by that system, you don't get no understanding. Average person go to church all their life and don't even know why. Start at the top of the 6th verse and read it all this time. Go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black. Because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. But mine own vineyard have I not kept.
So look, these ones that was alien to me, they made me keeper of vineyards, but mine own vineyard I have not kept. Let's see whose vineyard, who is this vineyard, and who is this that the Lord said, mine I have not kept. Let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Because it's all here, sisters and brothers. The Lord wants us to know this. He wants to let you know why you are in trouble. Because once you find out why you're in trouble, then you start to do things to get yourself out of trouble.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes if you can't do nothing, when somebody is messing over you, sometimes if you can't do nothing to stop them, if you have the knowledge of why they're doing it, sometimes that could even make it better. Instead of you got two problems. I'm suffering and I don't know why. But when you suffering, I'm going to tell you why. Because we're going to read it. Isaiah 5:1. Isaiah 5:1. Because he said, look, he's the keeper of the vineyard while his own vineyard is gone unkept. Go ahead.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard.
See, because this Songs of Solomon is a book. This is a love story between God and his people. Now I'm going to sing a song of my well-beloved touching his vineyard. Go ahead and read.
My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof.
Go ahead.
And planted it with the choicest vine. And built a tower in the midst of it.
Look, he equipped this vineyard with everything he needed. A tower he put there. Then he put a press in there. In other words, he put all the right ingredients. He gave them all of the right knowledge. But what happened? Go ahead and read.
And also made a wine press therein. And he looked at it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes.
Look, he brought the choicest seeds in there. Gave him everything he had supposed to have. Then he looked that it should bring forth grapes. What did he see? Wild grapes. Where did this come from? Didn't come from me. Go ahead and read.
And now, O the inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah,
go ahead.
Judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
Go ahead.
What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Wherefore, when I looked at it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. And now go to. I will tell you what I would do to my vineyard.
He said, so now, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to my vineyard. This ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. I tell people all the time, this is between us and God. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to my vineyard. Go ahead and read.
I will take away the hedge thereof.
I'm going to take away the hedge thereof. My angels ain't going to protect him no more. Go ahead and read.
And it shall be eaten up. And break down the wall thereof.
I'm going to break down the wall. Go ahead.
And it shall be trodden down.
Go ahead.
And I will lay it waste.
And I'm going to lay it waste. Go ahead.
It shall not be pruned nor digged. But there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
I'm going to bring everything everything negative on this vineyard. Go ahead and read.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel.
Listen, the vineyard of the Lord of hosts. You mean this is the Lord of hosts that have a vineyard?
Yes, sir.
Who is his vineyard? Go ahead.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, for righteousness, but behold, a cry.
So who is the vineyard of the Lord? Israel. He gave his people good laws and statutes.
Yeah. Yes,
when he looked for righteous behavior, he saw sin. That was a wild grapes. He's not and gave these people everything they're supposed to have. I gave them good laws. I gave them good statutes. I blessed their crops. I blessed their children. I blessed everything about them, and they still sinned against me.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we did.
Let me show you this. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter.
Teach, Brother Booth.
Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. Because, sisters and brothers, these things here, it ain't for nothing. Once you get some real understanding, it's just like the guy that got beat up real bad. When he found out the one that beat him up, that usually when he get through beating him, shoot him in the head, he thank you. Thank you for just beating me. Because some of the things I did, I deserved to die. It's all that simple. Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. That's why I said, be careful who you blame. What you trying to do, don't throw no blame. I don't do no blame. I just try to find out what's wrong and fix it. Jeremiah 2, let's start at verse 14. Verse 14. Read it.
Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave?
Go ahead.
Why is he spoiled?
Ain't that something? Are you a homeborn? Why then are you spoiled? He gonna tell you why. Skip down to verse 20. Verse 20. Go ahead.
For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands. And thou saidest, I will not transgress. When upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot.
Ain't that something? He said, I broke your balls, I sprung you.
Yes.
Brought you out of the house of bondage, and you told me, I'm going to do everything you said. And all of a sudden, at the same time, you breaking every law that God has.
Yes,
serving every pagan god that he had. He said, but you did this while you told me that you was going to be true.
Yeah, we did.
Go ahead and read.
Yet I planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed.
He said, I planted you a noble vine. That's what I put in my vineyard, a noble vine, a holy and right seed. Go ahead and read.
How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
He said, how is that this happened? How did you become a degenerate plant of a strange vine? Where did you get all these bad laws? Where did you get all this sin from?
Teach.
I gave you good laws. You was noble. You were supposed to be the top people on the earth. You were supposed to be the financiers of the whole planet. You were supposed to be the instructors and the teacher of all mankind.
Yes, sir.
Where did you get this from? For that, you got a problem. Skip down to verse 30. Look what you did. Go ahead and read.
In vain have I smitten your children.
He's out to beat you down, your children down, for nothing. Why?
They receive no correction.
Because they can't be corrected. Go ahead and read.
Your own sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion.
And your own sword have killed the prophets that I sent to you to try to correct you. Who is this talking to these people? Let's go find out. Let's go into Luke, the 13th chapter. Luke chapter 13. That's why people, I get people always trying to separate Jesus from Israel. How you going to separate Jesus from Israel? He's the one that's dealing with him. This is what I can't understand. That's supposed to go for the Gentile because they don't know no better. But it ain't supposed to go fly like that with Israelites. We supposed to know. Luke 13 and verse 34. 13, and we're going to start reading at verse 34. Luke 13 and 34. Okay, read it.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killeth the prophets.
That do what?
Kill the prophets.
See, ain't nobody killed the prophet. It's just like you see my house broke into. Look at the one that broke into your house. It wasn't no stranger. It was your children, your neighbor.
Teach. Teach.
Same thing with your prophet. Don't you know that the Roman Pilate wanted to let Jesus off the hook.
He did.
It was your forefathers wouldn't let him off the hook. Then he got some water and washed his hand. He said, my hand is clean of the blood of this innocent man. My blood said, clean of his blood. You know what your forefathers said? Well, let his blood be on us and on our children.
Yeah, we did.
You got it. He's on Jerusalem, that killed the prophets. Go ahead and read.
And stonest them that I sent unto thee.
Stone the ones that I sent to you. Go ahead and read.
How often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen do gather her brood under her wings, and you would not?
He said, how often I would have gathered together the hen together a brood under her wing, but you wouldn't be gathered. Go ahead.
Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. And verily I say unto you, you shall not see me until the time come when you shall say, blessed is he that come in the name of the Lord.
And that ain't going to happen until he come, until he break out of the sky, sisters and brothers. So he said, but look, behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Somebody else is in your house. You don't know it. You don't know where you come from.
Teach.
That's why I have people, well, I'm going to go back to Mother Africa. Where you going on Mother Africa? Look at the Sudanese over there. They killing one another. Look at the Hutu and the Tutsis. One tried to exterminate. You think that's something that's new? You got an education coming. So the Lord said, your house is left to you desolate. He hath forsaken you because of your misbehaving. Let's go into Jeremiah the 12th chapter. Jeremiah chapter 12. Because, sisters and brothers, he said, because of a lack of knowledge, we have gone into captivity. And we don't like knowledge. You know, we hate it. Even when the children try to use proper language in the tongues that they speak, and they even condemn them. Oh, you think you something. You said thee instead of duh. Tried to come up with ebonics to try and justify some of that bad English. You go and use ebonics, that's why you're going to be in the alley trying to eat out the garbage can. The one that use special the right language and presents themselves right, they're going to be the one that had a good job. But it didn't start here. This is the way it was. So the Lord said, your life, said, I would have gathered you together a whole lot of time like a hen would gather her brood under her wing, but you would not be gathered. So after a while, I just washed my hands. 12 and 7. Jeremiah 12 chapter and verse 7. Go ahead.
I have forsaken mine house.
I have forsaken my house.
I have left mine heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies.
Now look, that's that woman in Songs of Solomon. His vineyard. I have given the beloved of my soul into the hands of our enemies. Go ahead and read.
Mine heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. It cried out against me.
Look. My own heritage cries out against me. Go ahead and read.
Therefore have I hated it.
Oh, Lord, God can't hate.
We read it.
What did he say here? Some of the things that he did to us have to be a little hate mingled in there a little bit. Therefore I have hated it. Go ahead and read.
My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye.
Now look, he says she's just like a speckled bird. The bird around about are against her. You ain't like nobody. Wherever you go, don't nobody like you.
Teach.
Even into the same color. They don't like you. And all the rest of the other birds around about, we're going to show you blackbirds against you too. Go ahead and read.
Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour.
Go ahead.
Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard.
Wait a minute. This has been the problem all the time, sisters and brothers. See, the priest was supposed to correct the king. And if the king would not be corrected by the priest, the Lord would deal with him. Like we got one king going to come in the temple and he's going to do something against the priest. The Lord started leprosy right in his forehead and made him a leper. He run and got in and was confined in a room forever. Saul would not listen to Samuel. He ended up getting killed.
Yep.
The priest is the one that ordained the king. The one that the Lord used to correct the king. That's the one that they call pastors and shepherds.
Yes.
His pastors are the one that has destroyed his vineyard. Start back at the top of that. Go ahead and read.
Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot.
Go ahead.
They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness.
Ain't that something? Wilderness mean you ain't got nothing in it constructed. You go to church, you don't know why. You jump up and shout and get happy. You don't know why.
Make it plain.
Somebody asks you, what did you learn today? You don't know. The pastor was dynamic, but what did he say? What did you learn today? So he's out there crying out to me. And he knew this was going to happen, sisters and brothers. Let's go and show you what Jesus said when he was walking up on Jerusalem. Let's go into Luke, the 19th chapter. But don't nobody pay no attention to them. How can all this Bible be read and nobody talk about the destruction that's going to come upon misbehaving people? That is really something. Like, well, you know, like this preacher said about me, well, you know, they got Moses, we got Jesus. We always had Jesus.
Yeah.
We had Jesus in the Garden of Eden when he said, let us make man in our own image. I can show you that. Like Jesus came out of nowhere. Didn't work like that. 19th chapter of Luke. Let's start at verse 41. Because knowledge, sisters and brothers, sometimes it can make one happy, but sometimes it can make one sad. And Jesus had absolute knowledge. Verse 41. Verse 41, go ahead.
And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if thou had known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thine eyes.
He said, if only you had known the thing that belonged to your peace, you kept my laws and my judgment. He said, but now they hid from you. To this day they hid. Go ahead.
For the days shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation.
He said, day gonna come. Now we're gonna go and look at this. Let's go into Atlas, the Bible, page 201 and 202. This is a history book. Look. He said, day is going to come when your enemy is going to cast a trench around you, going to surround you, and they're going to keep you in on every side. And they're going to lay you and your children even with the ground. They're not going to leave one stone upon another when they get through. Let's see what time this happened and by whom. This is my old history book is raggedy, but it still works. Read it.
In 68, the Roman commander launched a methodical campaign to isolate Jerusalem. The overthrow and suicide of the Emperor Nero brought operations in Judea to a temporary halt as Vespasian prudently withdrew to test the imperial winds.
Now, anybody know about Vespasian? Know history, they know about Vespasian. Anybody know history, they know about Nero. That's the one that fell while Rome burned. But then, after his death, Vespasian, which was the general that was assaulting Jerusalem for Rome, he stopped to go back to Rome to see if he could become emperor. Go ahead and read.
Eventually, he himself was declared emperor. Sailing for Rome in the spring of 70, he left his capable son, Titus, in charge of the campaign against Jerusalem.
So, when he left Titus, his son, which was a general, in charge of assaulting Jerusalem. Let's see what Titus did. Go ahead.
The walls enclosing the temple and the upper and lower cities were the most formidable barrier of all. Postponing an all-out assault, Titus turned to starvation tactics. A certain amount of food had been smuggled into the city almost nightly during the siege. But now, the Romans sealed off Jerusalem completely with a wall of their own, made of earth and some 5 miles in circumference.
Then Jesus ain't going to cast a trench around you, and you ain't going to get in or out. Go ahead.
From the outset of the siege, those attempting to get through the encircling lines had been caught and crucified. Sometimes the daily executions reached 500.
Oh, you mean that Jesus and the 2 thieves weren't the only one crucified on the cross?
Daily executions.
Look, They was killing, executing up to 500 people a day on crosses. The cross is not a symbol of godliness. Teach. It is a Roman death symbol.
Teach.
And if you go wear a death symbol, you may as well put your hypodermic needle around your electric chair around your neck. Because they was for the same thing. It was to strike fear. So they crucified up to 500 a day. Go ahead and read.
The crosses were never bare. Inside the city, starvation and disease claimed a mounting toll. Bodies filled the streets and were stacked in houses.
Go ahead.
Thousands of corpses were thrown from the walls into the valleys below. The surviving rebels made a last-ditch stand within Herod's palace. The battering rams resumed their rhythmic work. When the legionnaires at last broke into this refuge, they found only corpses. Herod's palace and the rest of the upper city were put to the torch. Jerusalem was a city of the dead.
Because Titus took it down. This is history we read. But then the Lord gave him a warning. So look, when you see this happen, get out before this happened that we just got through reading about. Let's go back into Luke, the 21st chapter. Luke chapter 21. Because he told you, now, Lord, even when he get ready to bring some drama on you, he give you a little escape hatch. When you're so wicked, you think you can do it on your own. 21 and verse 20. 21 and verse 20. Read it.
And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Now, that's talking about the Roman armies. Know that the desolation there is nigh. Go ahead and read.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Go ahead.
And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
Now we know why it don't go in, either if you're in there, get out. Because these are things that are written, that all things might be fulfilled. This was written, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land.
Go ahead.
And wrath upon this people.
And wrath upon this people, the people in Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Because these Jerusalem going to fall by the edge of the sword. And the people are going to be scattered led in all nations until the time of the Gentile be fulfilled. Who are the Gentiles? Son of Japhet. Who are the children of Japhet? White folks. The Lord gave all of Noah's sons a time to run this earth. The last one is Japhet's children. And they running it now. They run everything. Well, you know, I'm American, I'm them old Russian. Americans Gentile, Russians are Gentile. Well, I'm going to go with the Chinese, Gentile.
Teach.
So now, we're going to see what happened to the ones that did not get killed in Jerusalem. Let's go back to 2 million years. This is a history book, page 87. 2 million years, page 87. Go ahead and read it.
The crucifixion of Jesus about AD 30 did not end Jewish resistance to the Roman occupation. In 70, when the country was again in a state of revolt, Jerusalem, the holy city, became the core of the resistance to the Romans.
We're still talking about this same battle we just read about in 70 AD. What happened? Go ahead.
Titus, the son of Emperor Vespasian, proceeded to lay siege to Jerusalem. The city fell, and the inhabitants were enslaved in their thousands and dispersed throughout the Mediterranean world.
See now, the ones that he didn't kill, they enslaved, and they were scattered throughout the Mediterranean world. What is the Mediterranean world? You have two sides of the Mediterranean. You have the Gentile side, and you have the Hamite side, what's called the African side. Titus scattered us around here in the Mediterranean, and we end up down in southwest Africa. To give you, and one of the places we are that is real prevalent was Timbuktu in Mali. Right here, I want you to read this caption here, Brother Antoine, what it says about these people that's in Mali.
Spotlight hits Jews in fabled Timbuktu. Timbuktu, the remote and ancient Sahara Desert city that was until recently controlled by Al-Qaeda-affiliated groups, is not often thought of as an outpost of Jewish life. Yet this West African town of some 55,000 in northern Mali is still home to an estimated 1,000 descendants of Jews.
Now, these are the people that you come from, because they're right on the Niger River. That's where your Negro name come from. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and read.
Who converted to Islam centuries ago.
Now, see, this is what people don't understand. Islam is a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Anybody can be a Muslim. Mm-hmm. That's why Malcolm X, when he went over there, he found out, wait a minute, I thought Islam was synonymous with black. Mm-hmm. No, it's a religion. It's not a people.
That's right.
So they was converted because the Arabs was over there. Go ahead.
In 3 villages near the city, local residents still refer to these descendants as the Jews.
They know who you are, even though you're same color. Keep reading.
But visitors and activists report that Malians of Jewish ancestry did not suffer any form of discrimination, even with the infiltration of violent Islamist extremists to the region.
So they didn't, because they became Muslim. Go ahead.
It also appears that the ancient documents that serve as proof of Jewish life in Timbuktu survived the recent attacks on the city's historic library.
You know, when the French come in there to jump the Arabs, they burned down the library in Timbuktu. With all the records, they tried to destroy all your records so you can't find out that you look like me instead of white. Mm-hmm. You see this guy on the picture? You know what he's going? He's going through all of the wreckage up there trying to salvage some of his history. What does he look like? Go ahead and read.
The city never became a significant Jewish outpost, but it was home to the Jews who sought a temporary base for their trade business. And over time, the Jews who settled in Timbuktu converted to Islam.
Okay, now look, he said the trade business. Go ahead. What about that?
Some coerced by rulers' decrees and others voluntarily.
So now this is encyclopedia on Timbuktu. Mm-hmm. The French call it Timbuktu, but it's the same thing. They say here, the Jewish trade. But let's see what the encyclopedia call it. Go ahead.
Timbuktu, or Timbuktu, a city of French West Africa, situated near the southern border of the Sahara Desert and the territory of the French Sudan, approximately 10 miles north of the Great Bend of the Niger River. It is the center of caravan routes from Morocco, the Guinea coast, and the inner Sahara, and is also on the motor transport route across the desert. Timbuktu has considerable trade in gold, gum, salt, and ivory. Settled in the late 11th century, it became a flourishing trade center for Negro tribes and a seat of Muslim culture.
Wait a minute, who tribe?
Negro tribes.
They called it like it was, what they called it. Finish there.
We are Jews because our ancestors were Jews.
That's what the people in Timbuktu say. We are Jews because our ancestors are Jews. Go ahead and read.
Whose genes are found in all our families. The statement published in a local newspaper also makes clear that the descendants are not seeking new religious or national allegiances. It is God who made Timbuktu our land of refuge, and we are Muslims.
See, that's a land of refuge. That's what Titus dropped them off at. And they scattered on down, sisters and brothers. But then, that is where, let me see this. And so this is where America found us, in West Africa here. They come over there, and they just rape the continent. Them evil white folks. Wait a minute. Let's see who they traded with. Let's read a little list, Julius. Let's read some of this stuff here.
You want to go to
No, I want you to read that now.
Okay. In 1860, the ship Clotilde sailed from Ghana, West Africa, for its destination, Mobile, Alabama. Aboard were over 100 Africans who were sold into slavery by the Dahomey tribe.
Now, these are the ones that was sold into slavery after the abolition of slavery. Some of them still, so I'm going to sell me some of these people. Go ahead.
The slaves, members of the Tokbar tribe, had been captured by the Dahomey tribe during the tribal warfare in Ghana at that time. The price paid for each slave was $100. The Clotilde was owned by Timothy Meare, a wealthy shipper and shipyard owner in Mobile. Its captain was William Foster.
Now, go and read number 2. These are just excerpts to let you know. Now, these guys, these black folks that sold you. Go ahead and read.
Meare learned through word of mouth that West African tribes were fighting and that the king of Dahomey was willing to trade Africans for $50 each at Widow Dahomey. Foster arrived in Widow on May 15, 1859. He brought the Africans from several different tribes and headed back to Mobile.
Ain't that something? Africans went and got you and sold you like a cow. Go ahead and read some more. Oh, I got a lot of stuff here.
We would like to invite you to join us on the Sabbath Day Live via the internet. Log on to our website, which is www.theisraelofgod.com. Click on the link Sabbath Day Live on our homepage. You will need Windows Media Player to view our program. We stream live twice every Sabbath at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Central Time. If you enjoy our program, we would appreciate your donations to help defer the cost of continuing this work. Send donations to the Israel of God, 2515 East 75th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60649. Also, if you're in the Chicago area, please feel free to join us at our study class located at 2515 East 75th Street here in Chicago.
Shall I be afraid when the wicked even